Can you turn that down a tiny bit, babe? Okay. Hi, everybody. We are live with Cheri Eggleston with Eggleston Designs, and we're just so excited that she's here with us virtually today to talk a little bit about home design, home redesign. So for people who are just curious, you know, how they can spruce up their home. And she'll talk a little bit about her business and just how she helps our clients. And then at the end, so make sure to stick around till the end, she will do a little DIY in her living room, kind of showing you where she puts things, and then why she puts them there, kind of the theory or, you know, behind the design that she does. We also will check our comments as we're talking. If you have any questions that she can answer, this is your chance. So I personally love design, and being a realtor for over 15 years now. In the beginning, I wasn't so good at it, and I lived in a condo that was not decorated, that the paint was old, and I didn't have the budget to do anything, but I also didn't know anything about design, and I always thought it was expensive. And over the years, after working with stagers and selling, you know, lots of properties, I've been intrigued with it and kind of have found my way into design and just I love it. And I am always at Home Goods, and I'm returning things left and right. But I do think that there's such big value in a home that feels homey and that's decorated, you know, to your style. And just, I think it changes the feel of each home, even if your home is not updated per se. So without any further ado, I'll let Cheri introduce herself and kind of get going, and then we'll ask questions along the way.
Hi, well, thanks, Jenica, for having me on. It's a little nerve-wracking to being live, my first live, but we'll get through it, right?
Yes.
So I've been staging since about 2004. It's about 15 years. And I was involved with another gal, and I had never really heard of home staging. And I wound up taking a course that I learned all about how to start a business, but also sort of the reasons behind home staging and why it works. And so I've been doing it for quite a while. And then about 2007, I went on my own. My partner had moved, and then I went on my own and was doing really great. And then the market crashed, basically. Mm-hmm. So then I wasn't staging for a few years. And then about 2012, 13, things started picking up and started staging again. So I have different degrees of staging, and we can kind of talk about that. I have the occupied consultation, which is basically I'll go into a homeowner's house and I look at it and I see what they have, and I try to figure out what needs to come out, what could be placed differently, you know, rearranging. I mean, face it, we all live in our homes for years before we sell it many times, and we have things that have become a little bit more dated, or we've collected things over the years of our parents and of all the things we have. And when you show a property, you don't want to show the stuff, you want to show the architecture. So that's my job. So I also edify the realtor that I'm working with. I've worked with Jenica on a few homes, and vacant and occupied. And you want to edify the realtor for basically hiring you to help the homeowner, but also edify the homeowner's things and make them feel comfortable with you so that they'll be more open to, you know, taking things out. So after the initial consultation, if the home needs things, like maybe it needs some furniture, maybe it needs some art or area rugs or something, and we have all of the stuff in a warehouse that we use, and I'll take pictures, and I know exactly what needs to come back. I provide a proposal to the homeowner, and then they'll pay for it. And then we set a date, and we bring everything, we set it up, and then they live with our things there. And with rules on, you know, like if they've got like major pets, we're not going to be bringing in area rugs in an area where they'd be sleeping on, obviously. But we work with the homeowners as best as we can. And then we also provide vacant staging, where we basically tell a story from the moment someone walks in the front door. We work with the architecture and the style of the home. We don't just slap furniture in there. It's very specific in what we do. So a lot of people say, oh, I could do that. I could just put furniture here. Well, it's not that simple. You have to really understand the market, the demographics of people coming in, and, you know, what the house is going to best show as. And during that vacant stage, they're rented for, you know, 60 days, typically, sometimes 90, depends on the contract. And then we just pick everything up. And we also offer redesign, and that's where I would come to your home basically and do a consultation of the things that you currently have in your home, what you could get, what you could get rid of, what you could rearrange. And we call that stage to live. And I do that as time permits, because in the peak of our season, it's really hard to do many of those. But I do them, and but I don't get too much into procuring things, although I can help tell people where to find things. They can send me pictures of, does this look good? I can still work with them, but it's going to be on a lighter note instead of hiring a total interior designer.
Got it. Do you think, I know you were going to share some pictures. Can you share some pictures for those watching of the before and afters of staging?
Yeah.
And how that's changed the look of each, room that you've
Absolutely.
designed?
So I'm going to open my website here. And I'm going to go to my Instagram. And if anyone wants ideas for things, if you go to my Instagram, I keep a lot of pictures there of items. So this particular house, they had a lot of things. They were going to leave a few pieces there, but it was actually vacant. And I told them, well, you could leave the kitchen table or the dining table, but take everything else down. And so then we turned it from this, which is, looks nice, but it's a little bit on the dated side, to this. And what this does is by bringing in different chairs and some fabrics and color, it just totally changed the whole room. So that's the after. And then we have another one here where they had nothing, and we wanted to lighten it up. And this is what the homeowner had. And then we supplemented and brought in basic stuff. And this is a very small house. And I think this one was actually in Rio Linda. And then this was the after. So she had fabric coverings that we had told her to put on the couches. We brought vignettes in, we brought in a table, some art, and, things to kind of make it look a little bit more modern.
And it's amazing you can use their stuff too. Like
right.
That's the same coffee table, just with, some different decor on it.
Because sometimes a coffee table is a coffee table, and it's just a matter of what you put on it. Now, this particular one, the before is the top picture. They had some sort of dated pictures, and they had way too much furniture in this sunken living room. And so we had them take out some furniture, and then we turned the couch around on the bottom picture to the left, opened up the space, brought in some new art, a smaller coffee table, and it just completely made the room look bigger and a little bit more appealing.
Awesome.
Then for vacant homes, basically what we do is we look at the architecture and we try to figure what the color theme is going to be, because we want to tell a story from the moment they walk through the door. This is one of my favorites that I ever did in a home. This is, I love the cowboy rugs. They're a lot of fun. Again, we're telling a story we saw this picture in another house before. And we just add lots of pillows and just, soften everything up. And as you can see the coffee table and then see the art. We try to blend things so that the textures go together. The pillows have lots of texture. And then this room was we really loved this one. Again, it's very simple furniture, sort of mid-century, in a small little house in downtown Sac in the pocket area. And we just brought in a lot of color. This is a color that's really trending. It's been the aqua colors. Again, this one is in Penryn, and we brought in some orange colors and had to keep it kind of rustic. And this was a really small little home that we did. And it was one where she just didn't know where to put anything. And we use prop TVs. As you can see, there's a prop TV there. So we have all kinds of different ways to, share things with the homeowners, or with the potential buyers coming in and what they are looking for, because we always try to work with the demographics.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing all that. One of the things too, I think, is, can you go over, I guess you might do it when you show us the DIY at the end, but kind of some design tips or do's and don'ts. One of the things that I learned kind of years ago when I started working with a stager was designing in threes and the different heights. And I learned so much, like, oh my gosh, this does look so much better when I can, when you do it that way, versus like, let's put 3 things on the shelf that are all the same height. It really visually changes things. So can you go into a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So for instance, if somebody's got, let's say, a console table, and they've got it just lined up all the same height of pictures and vases and candles, and everything's the same height, there's no appeal really. It's just kind of there. But if you take that a blank slate, and then you put maybe a tall item, it could be a lamp, it could be a vase with flowers, or a vase with sticks or branches, and then a smaller thing next to it, and then the smallest thing. So you've got the high item, the mid item, and then the small item. So we call that the rule of 3, or what you're doing is you're making a triangle. And in that, you try to have something that's like a softscape, like for instance, a plant. And plants go a long way as fillers, believe me. And then the other thing too is when you're designing a room, you kind of have to figure out, well, what color scheme am I kind of going with? And that's where you bring in color with the pillows, with the fabrics, with the decor, with the art. That's what makes a big, huge difference in how that's done.
Yeah, awesome. And it doesn't have to be expensive. I think that a lot of people think it's this like expensive thing to go out. I mean, I know that when I sometimes go through staged homes, I look at the bottom of the vase to see where did they get it from. And a lot of times it's Home Goods, it's Target, it's not. And you see the magnolia stuff throughout, and it's like it doesn't have to be this super expensive thing.
And I'll tell you a secret with the stagers is that we have our furniture. If I don't have furniture, I have vendors I use to get the furniture. And the furniture we buy is not going to be super high-end furniture. We could buy pretty basic furniture and then, kind of stick with the trends. And then because it's not being used really, it's just being looked at. And so I buy, my main shopping areas are Home Goods, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. Home Goods is probably my favorite. I even go to the Roseville consignment store. Wow. And they have, all kinds of things. They sell some older dated things, but they have model home furniture that comes in there. So if you've ever been to the Roseville consignment or the Folsom consignment, I highly recommend. When things lift, we can go shopping again.
Yeah.
So we as stagers have a huge inventory of all the decor. And when we do put things together, we make sure that it all goes together with whatever it is that we're putting it in. There's a lot of thoughts that goes into every job. It's not a simple thing. So people think, oh, that's easy. Why, and it's really not that expensive. My consultations are $275. And basically that's 2 hours of my time in the home, telling the homeowner what to do. And then I provide them with a PDF, giving them all the recommendations that we just sort of talked about while I was there.
Yeah.
And then the cost can go anywhere, from a small home all the way to the top end, depending on, how much furniture is going into the home.
Right. But even, for somebody who is living in their home and just wants to like freshen it up, it could be a good, even during this time, you're doing virtual consults, right? Where you can walk around the home and say, what do you think? I mean, we have decorated most of our house, but like our kids' rooms, they're like hodgepodge. We're like, we're going to get to redoing them. But even just those incomplete rooms, once they're done, it does feel so much better. And if somebody I think about the time, I mean, depending on if you're, for me, I'm self-employed, and I think, well, the time that I've spent at Home Goods back and forth, I could have talked to many more clients or tried to get many more clients versus like the time that I spend returning and all the rugs. I mean, it's just when we moved in here, it was like crazy, but we did hire some help to give guidance, because I feel like for me personally, I know what I like when I see it, but it's hard for me to put it together sometimes. Like I can visualize, I'm like, oh, I love that, and then I'll try to copy it, but I don't have that like raw, I don't know.
And I think sometimes it makes you feel better when you have someone else saying, yeah, that does look really good. Or they're going to tell you that doesn't work.
Right.
So having that as someone to bounce the ideas off of is worth it.
Yeah. And even if you, like you said, if we're at Home Goods or somebody hires you for the consult and then they're at Home Goods saying, hey, do you think this carpet would look good in that, that living room that I showed you? And then you could bounce back and say yes, or no, get something that's bigger. Because sometimes that's one thing, people get the wrong size, and there's where should the pictures be hung? There's all these rules of like, I didn't know where, you just throw it up there. That's what,
so the redesign clients, that they can have access to text me and say, hey, does this work? Once I told them, look for this, they can text me and I'll be happy to help them that way. Yeah. I mean, we're so lucky with all the technology of virtual with everything now. And, during the COVID-19 thing, I'm doing virtual consultations where the homeowner, if they don't want anyone in their house, they basically just videotape the rooms, and I tell them kind of how to do it, what it is I'm looking for, how to do it. They send it to me, and then I do everything online, and then I don't even have to step a foot into the house. So I have been doing those, during this time of shelter in place. So
awesome. That's great. And what would you say are some like current, just for people who are watching who might be curious, like current design trends, in 2020, and also like some things not to do? Like what would be some things that are like, I don't know.
Well, one of the things that we're all kind of living in, many of us are living in the big Mediterranean looks with heavy furniture and all the heavy plants and, the ivies and all that, those things are, totally dated. Everything's much lighter now, much more modernly simplistic, and light colors. The majority of houses that we go into, you want as much light coming in as possible. One of the colors that are really trending, you know, been the aqua colors and the navy blues and you know, with pops of yellow. Maybe you want to keep it light. When you see these big heavy couches that have the matching pillows that are the big bulky ones, those just don't do. I mean, they had their heyday and they're now kind of, you know, weaning their way out. But just anything with color and lightness is usually, you know, the best thing that you can do for, you know, trends. And the trends are, of course, always changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how we're working now with.
Awesome. Okay. I was going to ask you a couple of things. For people who are thinking of selling, or that's something on the horizon, what are some things they should not have in their home when they're going to sell? Like, what are things they should take down?
The first thing that they should take down is all personal photos. And the reason is because when someone walks into the house, no matter if you don't want them to look at it, they're going to stop and they're going to look at the photos and they're going to try to figure out who lives there. So therefore, they're taking their eyes off the floor plan and they're trying to figure out the story of the home. The only story we want to tell them is the architecture, the shelf unit in here, you know, the little corner thing over here. So any personal photos, anything religious, anything that's political, those are the things that have to go immediately, because you don't know who's going to be coming into the front door, and you want it to be as broad, open to as broad a range of buyers as possible. So those are, you know, those are the big things. And then if you've got too much furniture in a room, because the way we live in our homes and the way we market it's different. So if there's too much furniture in a room, like people think they have to put art on every wall, have some wall space that doesn't have anything on it. It does, if it's a huge wall, maybe not, but I mean, you don't have to put art on every wall. So, you know, that's the kind of things we tell people to take down.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, sometimes we have, because sometimes when clients don't hire a stager, we definitely, you know, try to convince them of that, just because we know that the pictures look so much better. And especially now with, you know, everything being virtual, we are allowed to, you know, show vacant homes now, but in Sac County, we're not supposed to show occupied homes. Like everything online is kind of your, you know, you only have one shot. But I know that sometimes when they don't hire a stager and we're trying to, you know, give them our tips, I've seen in vacant homes, there are like a few pictures of families, in model homes. Is that okay? You know, you see the one by the nightstand and it's like,
right. So sometimes,
like?
yeah, sometimes if they don't have anything, let's say, and I'm not going to be supplementing.
Right.
If they have certain photos that are kind of artsy, 1 or 2 photos is fine. Okay. The one thing I do recommend is if you have children's rooms, if they have their names over the bed, you know how like you have the plaque names or little things like that, you don't want those out there, because when you take a picture of that room, the people that know that address has a kid with that name, you just don't want that out there.
Yeah.
So we always have people take that stuff down too.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And then let's see. I was making a few more notes. We talked about that. And then let's see. Sorry. Okay. I think that was that. So do you want it? We're going to head over to her living room, and she's going to show us kind of a blank slate and then how she designs her living room.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see.
I'm going to have my husband be my cameraman.
Yes, perfect.
So here we go. Okay. All right.
We have to turn the camera around. Hang on. Turn it around.
How do we turn
it? Looked right. It looked okay. Oh,
there.
There you go.
Got it?
Okay.
So basically, we have a light couch here and blue. So I knew that that's what we wanted, was blue and cream. And so I actually grabbed these tables from my inventory, which will probably change again eventually. So basically what you want to do is you want to take some of the color of the couch, put it on the chairs, and the color of the chairs, and put them on the couch. So I also used gold as sort of an accessory. So we're going to put a couple of pillows right here that brings the color from there to here.
Got it.
And then we're going to put some blue over here to just kind of go and see how it really pops with the art.
Yes. Do you do the pillow chop thing or no?
Yeah, I do. Not every time, but I do. I do for this. And just so people know, this particular art I had in my inventory, I wound up taking it. This is something I got at Roseville Consignment, and I still have it and I still love it. So they have really fun things. And then I always like lots of pillows on a couch because to me it just looks rich and inviting. So I just keep it simple. And so then I wanted to kind of bring something in here just to make it a little bit more fun. So we're going to use these ottomans. They're just like fur ottomans. Put right here. Okay, now I want to put some decor on the tables. So I always like trays because they're so flexible and you can change them out seasonally, which is really fun. Twisted books are always a great way to, you know, do things when you put them together. Again, I'm using blue. And then my softscape here is just plants. Now, this is one of the things that's trending. A lot of people probably see these in Pier 1 and think Hobby Lobby. I use these in almost everything that I do lately. I just love them.
Cute. Yeah,
So
thanks for zooming in. That's awesome to get a good look.
So then for the coffee table over here, for the end table, I've got, again, the rules of 3. I've got the tall, got the mid, and I have some kind of gold, because kind of gold's my color. And then I sometimes I'll have a little candle on the side just for fun.
Cute.
And I'm using blue from the blue here, just a candle and a plant. Just something really simple.
Yeah.
And then just for added fun, when we're in here, like my husband and I will come in here sometimes in the evening, and because it's our one room of the house that's kind of adult-like. And then just a couple things. And voila, that's basically it.
So
and I love these. These pieces here are great fillers.
Oh, yes.
Always great to have a big vase of sticks or something on the side just to kind of bring in some natural elements into the setting. I
love it. It's so pretty. It's
yeah.
So inviting. Do you have any tips on getting those pillows to stay on couches when you have children at home?
Not really. we dealt with that for years.
Yeah.
We dealt with that for years. Here we go.
15 years, 20 years
yeah.
on there.
Yeah, that typically is not ever going to be something that's going to ever change. I'm sure that you're putting them on there constantly.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
I love it. That was so fun. Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any questions who's watching for Cheri before we kind of wrap up here? We'll wait and see if anybody has anything else, any questions. Do you have anything else you want to add or anything before we sign off?
Yeah, just basically if anyone is curious about, you know, how much it costs or anything like that, and they just want to know more about it, you know, give me a call. Just because you call me and ask me questions, you know, I'd be happy to answer anything. For design ideas and stuff, I post a lot on my Instagram. You could follow my Eggleston Designs on Instagram, and I also have a Facebook business page, and I post pictures all the time. So,
and I'll tag you on the video too. I'll go in after and tag your business.
Okay, awesome,
so,
awesome.
Thank you so much for being here today, and this was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, you did awesome. Have a good day. We'll stay in touch.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.